I'm David Michonis, Concert Director and Deputy Executive Director of New York Composers Circle. It's December 15th, 2022. We're having a concert tonight at Little Church Around the Corner, and we are in a corner of Little Church Around the Corner right now. I'm here with Patrick Andrew Thompson. Hello, Patrick.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Great to be here.
Good. So Patrick is a composer. He won our 15th John Eaton Memorial Composition Competition with his piece Moments Sweep Past, which is based on 3 poems of Tracy K. Smith. And this is part of our series of intermission interviews, let's call them. Patrick, I understand that you went into college as a math major, not a music major, but you were already composing on the side.
Yeah, that's right. I was composing ever since I was 8, really. I've never really stopped. I always considered it kind of a serious hobby. When I went into college, I went with the intent to major in math, which I ended up doing. But I did take a lot of music courses along the way, and studied privately a bit with some of the composition faculty. And around the time when I was finishing up my degree, I sort of had to make the choice about what I was going to do afterwards, whether I would continue to go forward with math, whether I should plunge forward more into music, which I had kind of always loved a bit more. And I decided to take the plunge, to study privately for a couple of years after college, and then to apply to music school. I ended up getting a master's degree in composition, and so now I'm fully into the music world.
You've made the change. Let's say it, brave man. Because you could just have a cushy job in math probably right now. But you know, the world needs artists probably more than it needs mathematicians. Great as math is, and by the way, for those of you out there who don't know it, the founder of this very group, New York Composers Circle, was himself a mathematician. That was his main thing. He composed on the side, and started this group out of, it was a pure love interest of his. And here we are 20 years later, we're celebrating our 20th season. Let's move over to the composition, Moments Sweep Past.
Sure.
So this is for soprano, cello, and piano.
Yep.
And you based it on 3 poems of Tracy K. Smith. Why these poems?
Great question. I had a lot of experience setting older text from 19th century or before.
Pre-copyright.
Pre-copyright, for good reason. And I decided, number one, I was going to set something modern by someone who was alive. And so began the search for an appropriate text, something that still resonated with me and that I felt I could write music to. It was a long and arduous search, to be honest, because most of the stuff I read, I didn't feel like it set to music, or I felt that it was had too much irony. It wasn't really, it was afraid to kind of tackle big questions, or there was too much of a distance from like hard-hitting interrogation of big questions.
I mean, the poems had that
In the
distance.
poems, yes.
And you were looking for...
I was, yeah. This was my impression. And then I found Tracy K. Smith, and in particular this Life on Mars that she wrote. And I felt that, number one, it would be great to set to music. Number two, I loved that she does not shy away from big questions. And she also has kind of a humble approach to them, though. It's more asking questions and just prodding than it is trying to tell you what the truth is or whatnot.
Oh.
And it's also very personal. It's her very personal take on a lot of these things. So all of this together just made it really stand out to me. And I decided to pick a couple poems from the collection that I felt worked well together and write a piece.
And hey, I'm interested, so how do you clear this with a living poet?
You email the right people and ask for permission. It's often easier said than done, and it took a lot more effort than you think it might should. But eventually, publisher.
In this case, you got great. Okay.
Yes.
Well, fantastic. I'm glad. And let's talk a bit about the influences on the piece, on the music itself.
Yeah. There's one in particular that comes to mind. It's Kaya Sariato. That might be surprising if you heard her music and then heard my piece. You might think that they sound nothing alike. The influence comes from mostly like the cello writing, actually. Her piece, she has a couple pieces for solo strings and for solo cello, including Sept Papillon and
Yes.
pedals. Great pieces for solo cello, really creative writing, very, very compelling stuff.
They're wonderful. I was just listening to them probably a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and all of the techniques that she has with harmonics especially, and like harmonic tremolos, harmonic trills, those kind of things, I thought those were just great, and I could kind of hear it along with the poetry, and I felt that it kind of fit. And then the challenge became, how do I integrate this into my own harmonic language, into the language of the piece that I wanted?
Did math enter into your finding an answer?
In a way, because harmonics are they're based on physics really. Like the pitches that get produced by the strings it all comes down to physics.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like technical limitations about what's possible. So if you have certain pitches that you would really like to hit on a certain pattern or trill or tremolo, it might not be possible. So it's a real puzzle that I enjoy, of trying to find clever ways to produce these kinds of sounds within the harmonic language that I wanted.
Fantastic. I think I'm plumb out of questions.
Great.
And we're probably at about 5 minutes, maybe now. So Patrick, I guess that's it. This will be showing during the intermission, and at the end of the second half, we will all hear your piece. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And all, thanks for joining us, and till next time.